part of the life. I met this Colombian lady in that bar, and I also met a cop from Yucatan, Mexico. He was like me, getting paid for the planes that they would let land, but that was not weed anymore. It was cocaine. So in this trip, instead of getting paid with cash,
you got paid in cocaine.
I got paid in cocaine and in cars.
Okay.
There was a Russian group, and the Russian mafia, and the Russian group used to steal Mercedes-Benz, only Mercedes, beautiful Mercedes-Benz, and then they would change the numbers, and they had all this. They changed the numbers in
vehicle identification numbers.
Identification numbers and everything. So I remember for that trip, I got paid with 8 Mercedes-Benz and like 3 or 4 pounds of cocaine. So I brought that cocaine back to Guatemala, and cocaine was starting to get famous here also. It wasn't really big, so I came and started, but I started also getting addicted to cocaine.
Using your own product.
Using my own product, yes. That's more or less the story of all these deals, and which is the reason why I got busted in Mexico. Remember?
Right.
So when I got busted in Mexico, the first time I had a King Air, which is a twin-engine airplane. It was in Opaloca Airport.
Okay.
But it was mine. I had also gotten that paid for drugs. I had a Porsche Targa. It's a 911T.
Okay.
That I also left I had bought a house in San Francisco, and in that house in San Francisco I left the Porsche, because I was already dealing not only in Miami. We would arrive in Texas, and with the girls I told you, with the car. And then we put the weed in boxes and in Federal Express. In Federal Express they have this big in the street, right?
Yeah.
Where you can put the boxes.
Right.
So we said one of the girls used to live like in the Midwest, the other one lived in Miami, the other one lived in California. So we'd send the weed to Midwest, to California, and then I would go all around only getting my money. It was nice trips, because a bunch of money here, a bunch of money there, and also many times I got robbed, by the dirty dealers that only gave me the down payment of their plane loads and then never paid the rest. So when I got busted, I had all these properties and all this money that obviously got lost. I had, like I tell you, I don't know what happens to them anymore, because I just never showed back up there, because I came out maybe 3 years later in the prison escape that I related. I don't know.
One of 2 escapes.
Yes. And this escape that I relate here is the last one. First, I had another one from the jail in Mazatlan, which is when I got busted in the border going into Mexico.
Okay.
With a Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, yeah.
But a Volkswagen pickup, you know them?
Okay.
Yes. They're like a van, but they have, and we took the gas tank, put it in another place, and where the gasoline used to go up in the back seat, we filled it up with this weed that was really, really excellent. And we had a place in San Francisco where they would pay us $3,000 a pound. So even 60, 70 pounds was good money, right?
Yes.
And since I had before that some people that had not paid, I was in money trouble, so that's why I did this trip and got busted at the border. And that initiated a whole horrible, because I went to prison in Tapachula first in Mexico, and where I spent like 8 months. But then I got transferred to Cerro Hueco in the Tuxtla Gutiérrez, Mexico. And the most sad thing is that in Tapachula, we had already made a tunnel. Also like the one I finally escaped in Reynosa. But this was in Tapachula. And the day I got transferred was the day that we were going to escape. Yeah, we already had heard the guy was underneath us, and we were having breakfast that day happily in the prison, when suddenly they said, Jorge Lemus y Otto Lavandino,
Time to go.
a la oficina. And when we walked into the office, well, there was all this policiales federales mexicanos said, here, get it. We ran back into the prison and we didn't want to go out. So they had to carry us out. And while everybody was throwing stones to the cops and everything, while they carried us out, they took us to a plane and transferred to another prison. From that prison, I was transferred to Islas Marias, which is a penal colony in Mexico.
On the Pacific coast?
In the Pacific coast.
Okay.
There's 3 islands that are exactly in front of the city of Mazatlan, you know.
Okay.
But 190 nautical miles into the ocean.
Okay.
And I spent there like a year and a half in that prison. I got to be a top man in the prison because I worked in the office of the administration office. This prison was extremely strict. You know, they were really hard, and there was no drugs in the prison. No, it was very. And there I got captured in an escape attempt also. But the psychologist in that prison was a woman. And I met her and we got along together. And she now lives here.
Oh.
And she is the mother of 2 of my children. You remember?
2 of your 15 children.
Yes. Remember Django, the guy yesterday that you met?
Yes.
That had my little...
Yes.
He is the son of Rosy. Her name is Rosy. She used to be the psychologist in the Mary Islands.
Okay.
So when I convinced her and I sent her out to the continent to go higher, some fishermen had been captured fishing in the waters of the island. So since I worked in the office, I was like a lawyer there, you know. I was the one that took their deposition, their declaration to the fishermen. So while I was taking the declaration, I started talking to them. I said, hey you guys, you know, how much will you charge me to come back to the island and get me out of this? We get together and they said, we don't know, maybe we'll charge you $50,000 or some kind of quantity, huh? So I sent Rosie, so she has permission to get a permit to go out of the island, and went to hire people to go get me out of the island. But as that happened, somebody figured one of the guys that were supposed to participate snitched on us, and we were captured, and I was transferred out of the island. After being 4 months in solitary confinement, I got transferred to Mazatlan, public jail. And in Mazatlan, I also had a failed attempt to escape.
So George, what you're telling us is you don't like prison.
Every time, as soon as I get into prison, my first movement is
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I always present a good legal fight, always, and I always won my legal fights because they're so stupid, they always have big mistakes. But even though I won the legal, they would never let me out. They say, fuck it, we're not gonna let you out because let's say a mistake was like the attorney, the public attorneys.
Public defender?
No, not the defender, but the accuser.
Prosecutor.
The prosecutor.
Prosecution. Yes.
Will say, and being 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I see 50 or 60 packages of weed, each one containing 10 pounds of weed on December 10th, let's say an example. And then he would put, then they had another document saying, well, on December 11th,
so they have the wrong dates. They have different dates.
Jorge was captured and brought into, and they would say, well, how could this happen? And this guy saying that I was captured the 11th when he already, the 10th he said he had already seen them. And that was all in the files. But even though I pinpointed all the things, that did not help me. I still got condemned and everything. So I had to think of another way of getting out.
Now, George, I got to tell you, I had a situation in Key West one time. I was stopped because the car ran into me on my bicycle on the main street in Key West. It turned out it was a police officer in his car, police car, to hit me. Another police officer comes there, arrested me, takes me to jail. The next day I'm finding out that I was charged with boating under the influence. They said I was driving a boat while I was riding my bicycle. Guess what? They changed their stories and still didn't help me. No, they make mistakes and that's, okay, that's all right. We're going to still prosecute you.
That's why I tell you, corruption exists everywhere.
Yes, it is.
Well, so then in Mazatlan, they inaugurated a new maximum security prison. And I was transferred. All of the prisoners that were in the old jail, we got transferred to the new escape-proof prison and everything.
Okay, go back.
Okay, wait, aquí nos esperamos. Gracias, muchachos. So there's maximum security prison. But by the time I was already, I had the deal, the weed deal in prison. So I was making a hell of a lot of money in prison because there was like 1,000 prisoners and I was the guy selling the weed.
They all wanted a little weed.
Yeah, I had a big organization inside, like 15 bodyguards and rest, and it was really well organized. And you will see how corrupt Mexican authorities are. They hated me, the director of the prison, and I was always in prison. But when the new jail came, they said, well, for I think $6,000, we were selling rooms in a special area, and where your old lady can stay all the day. And I said, oh, I'm buying. I said, okay, Emilio, no matter that.
Here, take my money before you change your mind.
No matter that was the enemy of the director and I fed. And then the most comical thing is that the administrator of the prison was a woman. And she was the one that would bring the weed in for me to the prison. She was a really nice lady, and she'd arrive to her office, which was out of the prison compound, right? So she'd go in every day with her big woman, women have this big, and inside she'd have a couple of pounds. And then we had a trustee, a prisoner trustee that was almost to go free, used to do the cleaning for her in her office. So she'd put that